Hey Sunset Teens, hope y'all are having a great Sunday. Sorry our movie night didn't work out the way we wanted it to, but I've got a couple of ideas on how to fix that. I'm also looking forward to seeing everyone tonight at 6:30 for our second virtual teen time. You know, it seems like every day there's something new with this coronavirus or the quarantine. Biggest one to hit was the canceling of the rest of the school semester, at least in person. I know some people are like, yay. I know others are like really disappointed. I know our seniors are disappointed with the loss of prom and graduation. One of the devos that I was reading through this week, though, it talked about disappointment. I wanted to share what it had to say with you. In the book of John, chapter 20, starting in verse 1, this is after the crucifixion, says this. Early on Sunday morning, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb and found that the stone had been rolled away from the entrance. She ran and found Simon Peter and the other disciples, the one whom Jesus loved. She said, "They've taken the Lord's body out of the tomb, and we don't know where they've put him." Later on in verse 9, goes on saying, "For until then, they still hadn't understood the scriptures that said Jesus must rise from the dead." Then they went home. Mary was standing outside the tomb crying, and as she wept, she stooped and looked in. Dashed dreams. You know, everyone struggles with disappointment, even the most successful people, but losing a battle doesn't have to mean losing the fight. Let me give you a couple of examples. Did you know Abraham Lincoln lost at least 6 elections before he became one of the most famous presidents in U.S. history? How about this? Jim Carrey, at the age of 15, worked as a janitor to help his family pay bills, and during his first performance in a comedy club, he was booed off the stage. Or Keanu Reeves. He and his wife, their first child was born at 8 months old, stillborn, and the couple divorced because of it. After that, his ex-wife ended up dying in a car crash 18 months later. What about Jesus? Jesus was buried as a dead man before he rose from the grave. No one thought he had a chance of rising on the third day. The stone was too heavy, the entrance too guarded. Jesus was dead. And his disciples, well, they all decided they'd just have to deal with it. They were going to the tomb to mourn. They got even more discouraged when they arrived. Someone had taken Jesus. Talk about another slap in the face. Little did they understand what God was doing. The disciples didn't realize Jesus had risen and that his ascent to heaven had fulfilled the scriptures. The fact that Jesus wasn't there even further backed up his claim to be the Son of God. But the disciples didn't get it. They thought their beloved Lord was gone forever, but Christ was already working in the ways they couldn't see. God is more powerful than your disappointments. God is more powerful than this virus. He's more powerful than things in our life that get set back for a while. He knows your dreams. He knows your desires. He won't leave you hanging. He's got this. He's got a plan. So I'm going to leave you with a couple of questions, just to mull on. Why do you think God allowed the disciples to mourn the death of Jesus? What did Jesus promise the disciples about his death? And lastly, I want you to think about a time when God worked through your disappointments. Remember, you can catch up on the Sunday morning Devo thoughts or the Wednesday night lessons on the Sunset Youth Group YouTube page. Be sure to subscribe so you know when there is new content. I hope everyone has another great week in quarantine.